Hello! Welcome to Low Carb with the Cars cooking show, episode number 8. And I am going to be cooking from my new cookbook, Quick and Simple Low Carb Recipes. Today we are making my 5-ingredient biscuits, and this is a quick and easy biscuit recipe that I use all the time, at least once a week. We have biscuits and gravy a lot on the weekends. So today we are making, again, with my 5-ingredient keto biscuits. Now, these biscuits come together quick, but I want you to make sure to make note. You need to have cold butter and cold almond flour, which are the two main ingredients in the biscuits. Now, if you don't have the cold butter, it's going to melt into a puddle. If you don't have the cold almond flour, then it's, again, going to melt into a puddle, because I've had a couple of comments saying, oh, they didn't look like yours. Well, you have to make sure that the butter and the almond flour are very, very cold. Alright, guys, let's get started. 5 ingredients, quick and simple, right? And I have a surprise for you here in just a minute that you're not expecting. Alright, so first we're going to start with 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons of cold almond flour. Now I use blanched almond flour, which means it doesn't have the skins in it, and this is a Bob's Red Mill. That's my favorite kind that I use. It works in all of my recipes. There's also a Nature's Eats, and then I forgot what the other brand is, but there is the third brand that works really well, but make sure it's finely ground. And I'm going to be working from my big mixing bowl. We want to have a lot of room to work the butter in. So in the bowl, 1 cup and plus 2 tablespoons of the cold almond flour. If you see my new apron my mom got me for fall, super excited about that. Now I have my butter, which I have cut into little pieces, and it is the 2 tablespoons of salted butter. I cut into little bitty tiny cubes, and I actually, after I put it in this little bowl, then I put it into the freezer to get colder than the refrigerator, because we really want it to be cold. If you have ever made biscuits before, you'll understand the reason why, and that's because the butter acts as it melts, it lifts and gives the biscuit lift. Pull it from the fridge, get it cut up, and then stick it in the freezer for 10 to 15 minutes, because you want it very, very cold. Because the whole idea is here is that when it's in the oven, the butter just slowly melts as it rises, and then it gives the lift and the flakiness to the biscuit. Otherwise it'll be heavier and it may melt and spread all over the place. Alright, let me tell you real quick before I get started. I'm just like digging in here. This is a pastry blender. Have you ever seen one of those before? See, it has the wires, and then I found this one. I love thrift stores, by the way, and garage sales are my favorite. Get so many good deals for really nice stuff. And this in particular, it has the screw here, or the bolt actually, so I can tighten if I need to. But it has all these little tines and this nice wood handle to grab. Now, when I say cut the butter into the flour, you're actually pushing the butter into the flour. Now, hope you guys can see this here. I'm just kind of pushing down. I'm pushing down in like a oval motion, I guess you could say. And what if you don't have a pastry blender? No big deal. Use a fork. You don't want to use your fingers in this instance, because of course your body heat's going to get it too warm. So I'll press it in quite a few times. Now again, it's really cold, so get the chunks, and then I'll just take my fingers and push them off. Push it through, and then do it again. But what I'm trying to do is work all of this butter into the flour so that it is pea-sized, like the size of green peas, you know what I mean? And so we're kind of just smashing the butter through the almond. We are just cutting the butter into the almond flour. And I also have for the recipe a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to go ahead and put that in here so we can get that all worked. Now, since you started out with super cold almond flour and super cold butter, then as I'm working this, it's not going to warm up too much. Now, if I started with just regularly cold, like, from the refrigerator, or cold from I don't know, it's cold at night, so cold from the counter, then it would already start to be softened and melt, because our whole idea is to keep it to where it's little pieces. See, and this, I'm using my pastry blender. We're cutting the butter into the batter. And it looks like we're almost done. Almost done there. We got almost little pea size. I'll show you guys. And what I just keep doing is keep working it, getting the butter off the pastry blender, and then doing it again. Do just a little bit more. All right. So I'm going to show you what I have here. See how the butter has turned into little teeny tiny balls? That's what we want. I also have 3 egg whites. Now, I have used egg whites like that you get in a carton. I've used those before and those work good. Now these today I have just some fresh egg whites, 3 of them. And you can either whisk it with a fork or whisk it with a blender. I got this cool blender for my birthday this year from my friend Ryan. He had gotten me this, my other one pooped out, and I like using these for something quick because my big KitchenAid mixer is big, yeah, it's heavy. So it's great for, I'm gonna make cookies or bread or something, but this is good for quick. Or you can use a fork, but you want them frothy. So let's froth these eggs up. Well, they don't normally have to be cold, so if you have farm eggs and they're sitting on the counter, it'll totally work. The only thing cold is the almond flour and the butter. That's really important because the butter, you want to be the little pieces, and then the almond flour to not, for them not to turn into a puddle when you put them in the oven. Almost there. We got a little bit of froth. That was fast. That was a lot faster than doing it with the fork on my own. Just, woo, look at those. Now it's not peaked or anything. It's just very frothed. Now I have my dry mix. I have my eggs. And guess what I'm going to use to stir it in with? A butter knife. Not a spoon. A spoon's going to pack it. You don't want it packed. You want it light and airy. Alright, so I'm going to pour the egg whites right into my bowl of my almond flour and my butter and my salt and baking powder. Because 5 ingredients, guys. Quick and easy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of cut lines through it. Couple circles. Cut lines. Circles, line, circle, line. And what this is doing is it's just very gently mixing the egg whites up with it. Circles, lines, circles, and lines. But use the knife. At first when I started doing this, I noticed that I, of course, forgot the knife one time. And then I used a spoon, and it packed it all. And then I had like little hockey pucks, biscuits, which I guess would be okay for, I don't know, crumbs, or maybe put crumbs in your stew. That might work. But as you see, it's just starting to come together. It's starting to absorb the egg whites there. This thickens up quick. Look at that, guys. It's already biscuit dough. Alright, so now my other little tool that I love, which I actually used these when I made my chocolate waffles. It's a cookie scoop. And see, you just squeeze it. It's got a little bit of water in it. But the inside is just like a regular ice cream scoop. You see that? And then I just do. And this works great for anything, of course, cookies. But I use it for muffins. And in this case, for my biscuits. So I have my baking pan. I just have a flat baking pan. And then this is called a Silpat, S-I-L-P-A-T. You can find this on Amazon. I actually have had this for a while. That's why it's kind of brown looking, but that's fine because what it is the threads in it kind of soak up oil. You wash it with, you know, soap and water, do what you can. But it's a sill pat. Another alternative would be to use some parchment paper, because with these you want to make sure they slide right off. Otherwise they're going to get stuck and be a crummy mess. We don't want that. Guys, let's get these scooped up. Now you're going to get about, about 6 or so, you know, using the cookie scoop. So that I'm going to set right here and get these scooped up. Because today we are working from the cookbook on page 23 of my cookbook. That's the same of the hard copy or on my digital copy, which you can get anytime from my site, lowcarbwiththecars.com, C-A-R-R-S. And then you can also, this recipe in particular, because I'm trying to work from my recipes that I have on my blog so that everyone can join along, whether you have my book or not. You can find this recipe on my blog, lowcarbwiththecars.com. And let's see here, we might get 7. Ooh. It's always different. 6, 7. I've never gotten more than 7 though. But we're gonna have to try to work this out with placement. Now, you can leave them kind of rounded. I'll show you here in just a second. You can leave them kind of rounded, or you can push them down a bit, which I prefer to push them down a bit. If you leave them like this, they're gonna stay like this. So just gently pat them down a little. Pat, pat, pat. And then it's only gonna take 10 to 12 minutes. Now, I give the 10 to 12 minutes because everyone's oven is different, but I've already preheated my oven to 400 degrees, and it takes about 11 minutes or so. And then for these biscuits in particular, the way that I figured all of the carbs was about 1 to 2 carbs per biscuit. Now I'm going to be putting these in the oven. We're going to be putting them in at a preheated 400 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. Now let me put these in. And then, whoop, voila, look, they're done. I actually made a batch earlier so that I could do everything in one video today. So this was the surprise, is that, oh look, they're done. 10 minutes have gone by. Flash, flash. Forward. I'm going to show you guys how these turned out. The last batch I got 6 out of, and I did the push down. Now look at that, how that looks. See, it has the nice little ridges. You have the nice golden brown bottom, and then look here. Look at that crumb. See? Can you see the crumb? I don't know, maybe if my light's too bright. There we go. See? Yes, these are perfect. Oh my goodness, you guys. On my blog and in my cookbook both, I have my sausage gravy recipe, which is perfect with these. Now, let's see. What else could you do with these biscuits? I have, I was going to get a serrated knife. I didn't have it setting out. How about some butter? How about some sugar-free jam? How about little mini breakfast sliders with these? A little tiny sausage patty and maybe some cheese. You could also do maybe some eggs in a pan and use a small cookie cutter to cut out little eggs to put on here. These keep for up to a week. And sometimes I've actually pushed about a week and a half, especially for meal prep. Make these ahead of time and they're ready to go. Great for, you know, have it with your stew, have it with your chili, have it with some soup. Lots of times I pull one out and then I just slap some sugar-free jam on it and I'm good for a little snack. They really fill you up well. And like I said, I got about 6 to 7 out of it, and this is what they look like when they are pushed down a bit. Otherwise they're going to be really mounded because they don't spread too much, because remember, our butter and our almond flour was super cold, so that worked great. My next book I'm working on includes chaffles, so if anybody is a chaffle lover, you stay tuned for that. Alright guys, we did 5-ingredient biscuits today, almond flour, and if anybody asks, I really don't know how to do it with coconut flour. This is the one that's worked for me with almond flour, so that's great. My cookbook on my website, lowcarbwiththecars.com, CARRS.com, and do the digital download, and it's just like the hard copy book. And if you get the digital download, save it on a zip disk and take it into Office Depot or an office place, and then they can print it off for you if you wanted to print it off, and that wouldn't be too much. You could even do black and white, you know, and save some money just to have it to where you have the hard copy book without having to be on your phone or on the computer. Thank you so much. I'll be putting links below in the comments of how to get to my site and how to get the cookbook and where my recipe is, so stay tuned.